So if you can't tell what this is, this would be Africa up here. And you've got the United States here, South America here. This would be part of Antarctica here, the one section. This would be the other one over here. And these start to make sense when you look at everything from Australia goes down to Antarctica this way. Or you can go to South America and go here. But rarely do you hear anything about Africa going to Australia. I'm sorry, to Antarctica this way. And you wouldn't, if you had a compass with you, people might say, well, what do you mean, what's down here? How do you get down here? Well, you wouldn't go down there because they've set up the GPS. So the GPS makes sure that you stay in this area. That's all. You're controlled by GPS. You're not controlled by water. Meaning, if you started going out from here, who knows what would happen if you actually just went out this way? Who would know? But nobody would ever do that because they're going to be following their compass. And the compass is going to keep you home. It's going to keep you here because as you start going, you're going to turn your boat based on where the compass is telling you, where GPS tells you. And that's how easy it is for them to fool you or to fool us, because we are just going to stay within the what we think is the boundaries. So, you know, a Santiago to Sydney flight is suddenly just here. And if you think of this circle being 25,000 miles, so then you look at this and you say, and I just drew this, you know, this is obviously not anywhere near correct, but let's say it's a diameter. So you're talking about 8,500 miles or whatever the diameter is, 7,959, right? So now you're talking about that's only 7,500 miles. Now all of a sudden it's an easy trip. It's 13 hours. That would be 600 miles per hour. Easy. I actually see the plane, when I am watching the tracking of that flight, it actually gets up over that 600 mile mark a lot. So, and by the way, when that plane does, if you watch that plane, no matter what, it will start here and it will come off of Santiago and it will get about here and it disappears from the radar. And you don't see it come back until it gets here. And that's because this is too vast of an area for them to cover with their no satellite faking butts. And when you talk about MH370, you know, that left wherever, over here, and went out this way, and who knows where it went out here? Who would know where it would go? But they certainly can't tell you if it doesn't if it doesn't exist in your reality. How are they going to tell you, oh, we found it here. Oh, what's the GPS location? Well, guess what? It doesn't fall in the GPS location that they've taught us exists. So they can't tell you where the plane is. Even if they found it, they can't tell you because it doesn't exist in your reality. It doesn't exist in my reality. We think we live in a finite place, that we have to stay within here. And that's what they did. Once they found all this out, it would have been very easy for them to mathematics. It's not very hard for these people that are math majors to draw up a mathematical system that tells you you're on a globe, that has boundaries to where you can go, and you know, I can't even say that anybody would be smart enough to get around it because you would be out here completely lost if you tried to sail out here, because what are you going to go off of? If you don't have GPS, you just have to, if let's say that this is the North Pole, and so your compass always points north, okay? But you don't know without GPS if you're here, if you're here, if you're here. How would you know the difference? You wouldn't, because your compass is going to be pointing you north. Here's your compass.
This is where the idea of using a gyroscopic type of navigation is the only way that you could do this, because gyros stay rigid in space, and they will give you a direction that will not be changing, as opposed to any magnetic thing. So if you're going to navigate this, you need a gyro. It's as simple as that. So.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what, you know, we just have GPS devices, and we think they're great, and they tell me exactly where I'm at when I'm in the USA. I know if I'm going south here, if I know if I'm going north, or if I'm going towards Bob here. This will keep very good track for me of exactly where I'm at. But if this world, and again, I'm not saying this is true. I don't know the layout of the world. I would be an idiot to say that I did. I have no idea what the layout is. But I do know that things don't work on a globe. And so this starts to make more sense. And when you see somebody like Magellan that took off from here, and they went down here, went around oops, I'm sorry, that's not where they started. They started here in Europe. They went down here and around South America and went through the Magellan, or the Magellan Strait, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then they went this way, so they had all this land to go through. Then they came back up here and came home. Well, this makes more sense now when it takes 50,000 miles. It's twice as big as this yellow line, which is 25,000 miles. So things start to make more sense. And when you talk about these people like Captain Cook, completely lost when they're out there trying to navigate these waters, and they were getting upset, they were getting frustrated. I would too, because what you've been told is a lie. So when you start trying to follow your compass, they were probably coming out here and going here, and they kept getting, according to him, an ice wall as far as you could see, right and left. Now again, that a lot of that information has been suppressed, so we don't know where this ice wall is. Well, how would we know? You know, we'd have to go and investigate it, but they certainly haven't told us the truth. So what Bob's saying is there could be an ice wall here, but maybe it ends here. Who knows? So maybe
Jared,
this, huh? Yeah.
I have a theory on where the ice wall is. The ice wall would be, it touches the parts of Antarctica as if you have one of both, but it would be mapped out by the sun's path and where the melt would be. In other words, you would have to see how far you're reaching until you run out of enough warmness to keep the ocean melted.
Good point. And that's what, yeah.
That's the where I am working with on this map is I'm extrapolating it out mathematically from that point of view.
Okay. And then one of the cool things about that book, and if you want to listen to John read it, I know Morgile reads the book, The Iron Republic. And what happened in that book is a guy who lost an election or something leaves New York and starts going down here, and he gets down to what he thinks is the Antarctica, so he hits the ice wall here, and goes up to a mountaintop here and looks behind him to the south and says he sees open water. And he's very confused because there shouldn't be water here. He's very confused as to why would there be water there. So they said, well, let's sail around and keep going and see if we can find an inlet. So they started sailing around, and sure enough, they found a hole. So basically there was a wall like this. And there was a channel that they were able to go into. And when they went into, there was such a rush of water that they were carried. They couldn't have turned around if they wanted to. And when they came out the other side, there was a bunch of open water. They sailed for 3 months, and then they found the Iron Republic, which was a new continent of land. They said they knew about the other side of the ice wall. They knew about the United States. They had met people from there before, but they don't converse with us because we're all Cretans, and they don't have the same kind of rules we do. They're technologically advanced, and it's a great book to read. It was written in 1903. The guy's talking about futuristic, like a subway system, and their transportation, speakerphones, and all the devices that we have. They're talking about it in 1903. It's an incredible book to read. I'm not saying it's true, but then that leads me to thinking, too, that every once in a while, if the sun gets closer or the area starts getting hot, do we have sections in this ice wall that open up? Meaning they kind of melt, an iceberg here, or an iceberg crashes, so now you've got a channel here. Well, then the government would care an awful lot about global warming. They would want to stop any warming of the planet because it's going to open an ice wall. It's going to open a channel, and if somebody sees that in this day of age with the media, the internet and stuff like that, somebody would report, hey, there's a channel here, and there's water on the other side. And then we would realize maybe, and I'm not saying this is true again, but if our sun stays here, going this way, sorry, our sun stays here, there could be another sun that goes here, meaning this ice wall is protecting, is just like they talk about pocket theory. Again, I don't have any evidence of that, so I'm not saying that it's the truth. I'm saying this is why we're exploring this, and this is why we need more people out researching this stuff, because it's a possibility, and it's not strange to think that this would be possible. It's very easy. The people who come back and say, well, how does GPS work, you idiot? It's like, I'm explaining to you how GPS works, and I'm explaining to you how it's keeping your mind trapped in a little world that they've created for you. That's great. Absolutely. If you want to live there. Go ahead, live there.
Yeah, there's one other thing also that I want to mention. Somebody asked in the chat, before we had GPS, how did people navigate? And I want you to look at Jaren's screen here and the grid behind it, which is just what I was showing you on Cammie's drawing, and also what they were showing in the other drawing that Jaren found. You see the grid there? Let me tell you where we got that grid. Well, first of all, let me answer the question. How did they navigate before they had GPS? Well, by the stars, okay? They navigated by the stars, and what this grid is and where we got this grid was from mainstream sources that actually show the intensity and the magnitudes of the stars, which would indicate in our model, of course, the closeness of them. And so this grid behind here is a representation of that very thing. And like I said before, the reason that they separated, or the reason that they changed the prime meridian grid, or the prime meridian, longitude, is because when you shift it 30 degrees from Giza, where it should have been and belongs, 30 degrees to Greenwich, then you've got a misalignment of the stars as compared to reference points on the ground. Okay, so that was just another thing that they did to throw us off track here. But this grid pattern is absolutely taken from mainstream science. We linked the reference to it in our show a few weeks back, where we got it from, how it was extrapolated. This was done by, like I said, mainstream astronomers. And so this grid is basically, we're taking the map of the stars, if you will, we're correcting for the little 30-degree shift that the Masons put in the prime meridian, and we're laying that grid right down on the plane. And bada bing, when you do that, and of course reverse it and flip it upside down according to the the Satanist way, and then you start placing these continents on here, all of a sudden you're going, holy cow, this map works. And this is where we're going with that. So there's your answer. Before GPS they used the stars, and this is derivative of the star maps. So there you have it.
Yeah, and it doesn't. When I say it doesn't do any kind of portal, it's because the portal map, which I liked Free Energy's map. I looked at it a lot, but I saw that basically if you have a square map, and they have this was the portal, right? You could go this way and come out here, and it made sense to me originally because I said, okay, well, if we're going this way, it's the same as me coming from this way, meaning we kind of exist everywhere, meaning I'm going this way, yes, but I'm coming out here, and it made sense to me. But this is the problem with this map, is where is this happening? Where is the person coming north coming out south? Well, if you look into, just look up north-south navigations, you will see all the time people that go from, they'll fly down here from America to South America to, say, Brazil, and then they'll fly to 90 degrees, and they fly, and they hit 90 degrees, and they always come back. This is how they go around the North Pole and the South Pole. Nobody has ever gone north to south, yet people, how many flights are there a day that do this? Thousands of flights that go like this all day long. They do this nonstop, but nobody goes north to south. Well, in this map here, it's impossible. So it makes sense that you wouldn't be able to go north to south. Look at any north-south navigation. It says it takes them 20 days, or because what they're doing is they're getting down to where they think is 90, and then they come back. They come back this way, and they go up here to the North Pole, and then they say, there it is. I just went around the world north to south. But you went to the South Pole and came back. You didn't go South Pole and go over, because your compass would have gotten confused. You would have been lost over here. So they get to that 90 degrees, and think about if you had a compass and you got to this point. That you're being told you're at 90 degrees, and your compass is telling you that way's north. Well, you're not going to be able to keep going this way. The compass is forcing you to turn around. You have no other choice. You keep going this way, your compass is going to keep telling you north is behind you. You're going to say, but I crossed 90 degrees. How do I? North should be this way. But you don't live on a ball. So you are stuck as a pilot, as a navigator. You don't have a choice to just say, screw it, I'm not going to pay attention to my compass, I'm just going to keep going. Because, as I believe, the sun is over here, so the further you go this way, the colder and more impossible it's going to get to even see. This is just going to be sleet and snow. And a lot of people ask me about meteoroids and comets and what do I think meteors are. It wouldn't surprise me if there is a bunch of icy mountains out here. Icy mountains, huge ones, and for whatever reason, pieces of chunks are flying into our area. Who knows? But that's what meteors are. They're icy chunks of ice. That's what they tell you they are, and metal, which would be fine if they're out here and they're just flying in. I don't know for what reason. Don't ask me. I'm just giving you an idea of what could be happening. There's ulterior ideas that match our reality equal to or more than the globe model. The globe model just doesn't make sense. It doesn't jive with me. It doesn't match my reality. It doesn't make sense. Why can't somebody just fly today from New York? I want to see them fly from New York over the North Pole, go down underneath the globe, and come right back over here. But that doesn't happen. Try and find it. You won't. And if you look it up for like the Guinness Book of World Records, who has the the record for north-south circumnavigation. It's Sir something something. He's a cousin of the Queen of England, and he's a Freemason, and it took them like 4 months. And the description of what they did was basically like go up here, meander around this way, and then come down here, and then come back up here. And they say this is around the globe. Again, I'm looking at a flat map, so it doesn't make sense that I'm showing that. But it's not the same as it would be on a globe. And we don't go over, they say it's too cold to go over Antarctica in a plane. That's ridiculous. The ground temperature doesn't have anything to do. And then just look at the different, for instance, look at the 14 of the top 15 hottest temperatures. They're all in the north, right here. This is where your 14 of your 15 hottest temperatures are. Nothing down here. There's one Australia temperature that registered in the south that is in the top 15. Everything else is in the north. It makes sense on a flat Earth because your sun is staying between the tropic here and here. So your sun is in this path here all the time. So this would be the hottest area. Now, if it was on a globe, remember the sun is 3 million miles closer in the south summer. So that means that your hottest temperatures should all be in the south. There's no reason why any temperature should hit the north and be hotter than the south. We don't see that at all. Doesn't make any sense. Why is there tons of plants, animals, trees, forests, rivers, all kinds of stuff in this band, but in this same exact band out here, nothing? Go ahead and go look at the areas out here and try and find plant life. Try and find, they're just not there. It's not equal to, look at 70 degrees north versus 70 degrees south. They're completely different. But that makes sense on this map. Let somebody try and explain it to you. They'll start saying, well, it's because of the temperature of the water and there's more land here, so this land heats up. And no, you know, that's not, there's as much land here as there is here or here. So you know, it doesn't make, why is Death Valley the hottest temperature there ever was and not somewhere in Australia? You know, what would be the reason for that if they're, and I don't know if I'm just saying those off the top of my head, they might not be at equal latitudes. But if you found whatever Nevada is, I'm sorry, Death Valley is California, whatever the degrees longitude is here, check that same area south of that, and you should have equal temperatures. Actually, it should be more in the south because the sun is 3 million miles closer, but we don't see that. So those are questions that people should ask and say, there's something wrong with the globe model. It doesn't fit reality, but people want to keep fighting it and stay trapped in their little globular world.